In this episode, guys, we cover a lot of stuff, a lot of things about AI, a lot of tough questions, the future of AI, the doom and gloom. Will AI kill us, enslave us? What does it mean for humanity? But at the beginning of the episode, we have a quick conversation about piss, poo, and shit, bleaching bum holes, and some other stupid shit, okay? So if you're off by that, just fast forward past it and get to the good stuff, because the rest of the episode is amazing. We pose some pretty interesting questions, and we go through a lot of tough stuff, and we try to dispel a bunch of common myths that are circulating currently about AI and all the doom and gloom. We don't think it's all doom and gloom. There's for sure the chance for it, but it's not guaranteed. All right? So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the episode.
You know when you have to pee a little bit, but you're like, I could probably, hold out for a while. And then like you calculate how much time like you might have to hold out for. And then suddenly, no, I need to go now, because you realize like, it's like your body knows like, no, bro, you're not going to be able to hold out for an hour and a half, 45 minutes or wherever it might be. And then suddenly you're like, oh shit, I really need to go.
100.
Yeah. But I've always had like well, not always, but I've always had not always, sorry. I've had issues with like peeing for some reason. Like when I was a kid, I would pee the bed, but like at abnormal ages. And I remember I went to my buddy's house for a sleepover, and my mom was worried. She was like talking to my buddy's mom, like, yo, like you should put down a garbage bag on the bed or something, because Daniel, he has issues sometimes peeing in the bed. And I remember she was like, well, there's going to be a couple of kids in the bed. Like we can't, like, it's going to be, don't worry about it. Daniel will be fine, is what she told my mom. And I was, luckily. But yeah, I remember one time I was 12 years old and I peed the bed. I had a dream where I had to pee. And then in the dream, it felt like forever, and I couldn't get it out. Finally, I got it out, and I actually peed the bed. That was crazy.
That's a classic cause of peeing the bed, is that dream scenario where you need to wee in the dream. And like ideally, what you do is you learn that when you're having dreams like that, you can go, oh no, this is a dream, and wake up and not pee. I was going to say, okay, we're recording. Are you sure you want to include that?
Yeah, I was gonna get way worse, dude. I was gonna say when I was younger, my mom actually took me to the doctor because I was peeing the bed, and I remember going to the doctor and he wanted to look at my dick, right? And I was weirded out by this whole situation. But my mom was there, and I had to show the doctor my dick, and I remember like. He was just like examining it, and it was just really strange. And I was thinking in my head, like, why does he have to examine my dick for?
Yeah, shouldn't he be looking at my bladder?
But anyways, he just told me, he's like, yo, when you go to the bathroom, make sure that you like push everything out. Like don't like leave something in the bladder or something like that, right? So since a kid, I've always been conscious of that. But does this happen to you? Do you get like, I don't know, I call it drippies, when you're done pissing, right? And you pull up your boxers, and then you start walking away from the urinal or from the bathroom, and like a little bit comes out and gets your boxers wet, like where your dick is.
Not gonna lie, not often, but yes, that has definitely happened.
Dude, it happens to me constantly, and I don't know how to prevent that from happening. Like I don't get it. I don't get how I can prevent that from happening. Absolutely. Like, do I just stand there and keep like playing with it until everything's out? Because I sometimes do that, and it still happens.
They say more than 3 shakes, you are playing with it. So I don't know, maybe do 3 real big shakes. Either that, or you might be something to do with your bladder. There might be I don't know, like a valve that might not be functioning 100% or something like that. But yeah, no, I don't think well, I would say it should probably happen as regularly. Do you do any sort of like pelvic floor exercises or anything?
Yeah.
Can you pull your belly button towards your spine?
So Yeah, like I've been actually doing that for so long, for so many years that it's automatic now. Like my belly button is being pulled towards my spine like automatically without me even thinking about it now because I've been doing it for so many years.
Okay, next one. Can you lift your balls up?
Yes.
Con-
Yes.
yeah. Well, like if you can do all that, then that sounds like functions pretty well. Maybe it's a little valve issue, guy. Maybe your bladder's got a unique structure that has like that it's not spherical. Maybe it's got like a little dip in it somewhere, and it just sort of like does that. Have you ever tried peeing sitting down?
Yeah. At nighttime when I get up, it's always sitting down because I don't want to turn on the light. So I just like get out of bed, sit down, take a piss. Yeah. Um, yeah.
Yo, have you ever heard that song? When I when I when I shit, no, when I shit, my dick touched the water. When I dick touched the water. It's a African American song because the length of the penis is quite large for some of them, obviously, and their dicks are so long that when they shit, their dicks touch the water. Now, I was shocked by this, right, when I first heard it. And then I went to America and I went to Canada and I realized that the water in the toilet bowls in Canada and America is way higher than it is in Australia. So me hearing it as an Australian, I was like, holy fuck, man. It's like, that's a big flaccid dick, man. Like, holy shit, like that's got to be a good 14 inches flaccid, like to touch the water. Cause the toilet water in the toilet bowls in Australia is at the bottom of the toilet. But in America and Canada, a lot of the water is up high, like really quite high.
You're right. It is. Have you ever seen those toilets? I think they're in Europe. They have like a back part and then they have like a front part that's deeper where the water is. And the back part, like the shit will collect there. And then when you flush it, it hits that part and brings the shit down into the lower part. It's like the most inefficient toilet I've ever seen because it just doesn't make any sense to have like the shit like high up on like this like pedestal.
Yeah, like
I don't know why it was designed that way. What's that?
Like really close to your bum.
Yeah, it's fucked up. I think I've seen those in Europe. Not all of Europe. Yeah, it's a really strange toilet.
My favorite toilet are bidets. God damn, they're good. Toilet built-in bidets are amazing. Oh my God.
I agree.
Especially when you get like relatively big and it's like you can't like the movement is really difficult to get and wipe your ass, man. Bidet is heavenly. Actually, let's just talk on that for a second, right? I got something to okay. Why the fuck do we use dry paper to clean shit off our bum, right? Name another thing that you clean with dry paper. Like, do you clean your hands when they're really dirty with dry paper?
So I actually was just about to say the exact same thing, dude. And one guy explained it to me. I was in Thailand and he explained it to me. It was actually what do you call a foreigner in Thailand? What's the word they use?
Expat?
No, it's another word. The Thai people use. What's that?
I know in Malaysia it's matsale.
Matsale? No, I can't remember what it is in Thailand, but he was breaking it down. He said, "Yo, if your arm is dirty, what you said, what do? You don't wipe it with a paper, and if you did, there's still like some there. He's like, it makes way more sense to wash your ass with water."
Correct. I'm a huge fan. So it's probably too much TMI for people, but pro tip: wet wipes, like baby wipes, and make sure that they're flushable. Okay. Don't go flushing the unflushable ones. Buy the flushable ones. Wet wipes or baby wipes and a fucking bidet. Man, it is just heaven for your butthole. Oh, amazing.
I agree. Wet wipes are dope.
Yeah.
I'm a big supporter of wet wipes.
We should boycott toilet paper. Like, what the fuck? How come toilet paper hasn't been canceled? This is bullshit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I agree. It's ridiculous. It's expensive and it's wasteful. I agree. Completely absurd that we're still using that.
Should start a movement. Clean bum holes matter.
Yeah. That's
like matter. Okay. This got me thinking. Kanye West has an amazing lyric about buttholes and bleach. It's like something about a supermodel. She just bleached her asshole, and I got bleach in my t-shirt. Does that make me an asshole? I'm just like, how does he come on with this? This is fucking genius. Genius. You ever heard that song?
No, I've never heard that. I've never really listened to much Kanye, to be honest. I was thinking, how can you bleach an asshole? Like, what is that process, and how much pain would that be to do that? I couldn't imagine that it would just be like one treatment and you'd be done. I imagine that it's multiple treatments to get it the color you want.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it'd be that. Or it'd be painful if you left it on for a very long time. But like small amounts of bleach, like they sell it in lots of Asian countries, guy. Have you ever seen in China, in Thailand, in Malaysia, in or a lot of the Asian countries, they sell skin cream that has like either hydrogen peroxide or bleach in it to lighten their skin, because the darker your skin, it's associated with lower socioeconomic status because you're in the fields working all day, and so it's like this bad thing. So everyone wants to have really white skin. So yeah, I don't think. Well, I'm sure it could hurt, but I don't think the way that they do it hurts much. But like, if you're getting your asshole bleached every couple of days, it's not going to feel good after a while.
So you're right about that soap, those creams. They also have soaps. They have a bunch of products that have bleach in it. Because when I was in Thailand, I bought a bleach soap by accident. And I remember I was showering with it, and then my balls and my dick started burning like crazy. And I later found out that, yeah, like a lot of their products do have bleach in it. And it's for what you just mentioned, why you just mentioned, because yeah, it's associated with socioeconomic status. White skin.
Clean dick and balls, man. Ultra white. You're the white knight dicks.
I don't know if it's the same though. I imagine like bleaching your asshole and using a soap with bleach in it would be very different, right? Because like
different that's all.
Yeah. So I mean, imagine having like a much higher concentration.
Yeah.
I would imagine it'd be very uncomfortable.
I don't think that they're literally pouring bleach on people's assholes to bleach their asshole. I think that it'd be a treatment with some diluted creams or something like that.
I don't know, guy. It might be. They might be just straight pouring bleach inside the asshole with one of those like turkey basters. Getting it right in there, dude. Making sure everything is nice and pink or whatever color you're trying to achieve.
Depends how far away from the color you want you are, right? So like, you got that real dank ass, stanky ass, dark ass bum hole, and you're trying to go to pink in one treatment, then yeah, it's probably going to hurt. It's going to be a long work, right? But like, you just like, okay, so let's tie this into long-term versus short-term thinking, right? Just, you want that pink bum hole, right? But you got a real dank ass brown one. Okay. Instead of trying to get it overnight and going for all that pain, just extend your time horizon a little bit, instead of trying to get it tomorrow or the next day, get it over the next couple months,
So what the fuck is this pod about, guy? What are we getting into AI, or should we just keep going on, riffing on this?
I don't know. You started talking about your bladder, guy. I went in the bed. This is how shit happens here, man. We just flow,
So what you said you wanted to talk about is that you've been seeing a lot of shit online about people trashing AI and how it's going to ruin the world and take over humanity. And I've actually recently been seeing the same thing. Few different podcasts. There was a guy, Alex. He was talking about how people were suggesting that we should stop the evolution of AI for a period of 6 months to just see what is happening with it. He talked about hyper optimization could eventually go against humanity. Some optimization is good, but too much could essentially be destructive, how AI are going to take over humans. But bro, I say, fuck it. Let's go balls to the walls, get rid of these piece of shit politicians, and let AI rule the world.
Okay, well, I was with you for the first part of that. The second part, I'm not so sure about. Yeah, maybe not AI overlords just yet. Okay, I think everyone's got it wrong. Well, not everyone. I think there's like a good bunch of these people, especially the ones doing the whole doom thing. I think it's more of a projection of their world model, right? Like, I really think that the reason they think it's going to end all like so badly and go in all these horrible directions is because it fundamentally like that's how they sort of perceive the world to be. It's just this doom and gloom. And so I think they're like, like they're doomers, man. They're fucking pessimists. And like pessimism can be useful if you're like, like it can sort of have a use. I think that it's not the most useful model. I'm an optimist for sure, and prefer to like try and focus on the upside, so to speak. You got to be aware of the downsides, but you can't just continuously focus on them. You get lost in there, right? You can always think of ways something can be worse or can happen bad or what. Like you can always make it worse and think of ways that it can be worse, right? But it's just it's like it's a fool's errand trying to get into all of that. The optimism angle, I think, is way more valuable. But let's just touch on that. Like you mentioned, they want to do the 6-month pause, right? Like the 6-month pause is only going to pause on the people that adhere to the 6-month pause. How the fuck are you going to enforce that on everyone? Like okay, so all the people working on AI that like adhere to this rule pause, and then everyone else that doesn't adhere to it just gets 6 months fucking head start on everyone else. Like these people are smart too. Like, are you talking about Eliezer Yudkowsky? I don't know. He's like a Jewish guy.
He's got like an Al Pacino kind of vibe, a bit.
A fedora.
No, I don't remember what his name is here. I can check. He was on Alexa's podcast recently, and he's got this Al Pacino sort of.
Well, the guy I'm talking about, Eliezer Yudkowsky, I think his name is. Like he's part of the less wrong community, the rationalists, and I think like there's a decent amount of they've gone through some great stuff, and they're very smart people. But I think a lot of the time they've thought themselves into holes with a lot of this stuff. Like I look at him, and there's no doubt that he's an incredibly smart person. But like he hasn't been able to fully utilize his intelligence to solve his own fucking problems. Like he's fucking fat, like and unfit, and like not as fucking robust as he could be. You know, like, bruh, sort your shit. Like, go clean your closet before you start trying to clean everyone else's closet. And I get, like, there are concerns with this stuff, but, like, it's too stuck in the doom and gloom, man. I can't trust anyone that has translucent skin, guy. Fuck. And no muscle mass.
I do know who you're talking about, and I saw some shit with him, too. But the guy I was referring to was Max Tegmark.
And Mac's incredibly smart person, has made amazing contributions to mathematics and physics, and brilliant thinker. But like, it just shows you how even though you could be really smart and you can be as rational as you want, you can get stuck in this sort of like, I don't know, like local minima or global minima. Like you can just get stuck on the downside, like thinking about how all of this can go badly, as opposed to focusing your time and energy onto like helping to realize the upside of it, to maximize the potential of these things. Allocate your computational power and your thoughts and everything else to trying to like best utilize this technology so that, the positives outweigh the negatives, so to speak. And again, they all come back to this, like it's going to be, firstly, there's a whole group of people who criticize AI and say that it's not intelligent, it's not this, it's not that. And then simultaneously, they're worried about it taking over the world and killing everybody. Like, how do those two things are divergent? They're not like, but yeah, jump in.
To defend Max, he did mention some benefits, a lot of benefits to having AI, and how we could achieve sort of this euphoric sort of human civilization if we utilized it to its full potential in the correct way. But I would say the overarching theme of that podcast was looking at the negatives of AI. So I'm not exactly sure where he stands exactly, but he did seem to lean towards the doom and gloom of it, and which is really surprising because because every time some new technology comes out, there's always a lot of doom and gloomers talking about how it's going to ruin the world, ruin civilization, ruin humanity. There's been lots of examples over the years. We've talked about this in another podcast, that this isn't the first time that we have some state of the art technology really, hitting the market, like how heavily AI is hitting the market. We've had this before. We've remember in the year 2000 when everybody was worried that when the clock turns to the year 2000,
Y2K.
Yeah. So I think we have faith. I think that things will be controlled enough in a way where we can use and optimize AI to benefit a lot of people. Another argument that they use is that corruption, right? Like corrupt people will use AI and corrupt, which will for sure happen. But at the same time, there's a whole other side of it, which will give us many, many benefits. And it all comes down to the individual, if you want to use it for bad or if you want to use it for good. And I know we don't like to lean into the good and bad so much. Maybe better language would be to say useful and not useful.
Correct.
Yeah.
But okay, so well said. And so with all of this, the problem isn't actually the AI. It's us. It always is us. It's like with any great technology or anything that's very powerful that can be used for, good and bad things, or, what people deem as useful or not as useful or destructive, creative or destructive things. But like, you can't take away the downside risk. And we talked about this last week in the pod, life is this beautiful, dangerous, amazing, scary. There is no such thing as good without bad. There is no such thing as upside without downside. And we can't take away all the risks. Now, we can become aware of those things, and we could try to put certain things in place to minimize massive, giant externalities, catastrophic events that would wipe out all of humanity, so to speak. So I think that is important. But it doesn't negate the fact that same technology that could be very dangerous can also be used for great good. That's what it is. The thing that we're really scared of is how powerful this is. Right? And the reason why people are so worried about it getting into the hands of bad actors and everything else is because there are still people in this, in the world, we're not aligned. If the reason why they're so scared is because some people could use this for bad things. That's their real worry. It's not the AI that they're worried about. It's the people utilizing it. It's the bad actors using it to get the outcomes that they want. And so another big topic at the moment is this AI alignment, right? Like we need to solve, that's why they're trying to pause for 6 months, because they want to try and work on AI alignment, but it's not really AI alignment. It's human alignment. We're not aligned fundamentally. Like we are to varying degrees, but we're not as aligned as we could be. All right. And that really is the problem. And that's one massive advantage of having this technology emerge now and it being so powerful is like, it will force us to align, right? Or it will align us kind of thing, And I think that that's kind of like how it has to be. I don't see, without the pressure to do these things, we just don't tend to do them. This is one of those things again with wars, right? War can be horrible, especially for the people that are dying and being killed, especially if it's sort of unnecessary, But wars have produced huge technological improvements throughout the years. Have forced countries to have to try and solve problems. Look at computing, the Turing machine, Alan Turing. The only reason Turing was doing the stuff that he was doing at the time to the level of intensity that he was is because they were trying to crack the Enigma code. They were trying to crack encryption in the war with the Germans. And so Turing came up with this whole way of doing it. And that was, the Turing machine. That's how they solved that problem. And then that led to all of this amazing stuff. And so I think sometimes it's the way we look at things, the time horizon is at which we look at them, which can sort of cloud us and blind us. So we can get stuck in these, local min, local max, as opposed to, global max or, even local, global min. Like that's obviously what we're trying to avoid. But we need to sometimes zoom out and change our perspective on things to get a more sort of holistic look at this stuff.
Another argument is that all of the jobs that are going to be lost with AI could be detrimental to the job market, right? For example, one of the jobs that's going to be rapidly affected is journalism, right? Because GPT-4,
Thank fuck for that.
yeah, right. GPT-4 can write articles hell of a lot better than any journalist can, probably, right?
Well, I just want to riff off that real quick, right? So you would think that maybe, like, okay, yes, GPT-4 can write stuff. I don't think it can write better than any journal. Like, the best human journalist is probably going to write a better article than GPT-4, and be able to, sort of fact check it at this stage better than GPT-4. Okay, because it still does tend to make some shit up, but so do human journalists all the time. That's like why a lot of journalism is shit nowadays, because people just make shit up. But one really powerful use case is not using GPT-4 to come up with articles, but to actually feed articles into it and get it to do a comparison, right? Get it to find out, like, what sort of language is this article using? You can get it to go through the order of events chronologically and see if the journalist has misrepresented certain things. And so you can actually use it as this amazing tool to navigate the bullshit and the misinformation and disinformation that's being put out by news outlets or, media outlets. And so that's a phenomenal use case for GPT-4, not creating the articles, but actually dissecting, critiquing, and criticizing these articles to help you get a better understanding of a clearer view of what actually might have been happening there, as opposed to just the biased view that the reporter or the news outlet has put on it. Have you seen? I can pull up a couple tweets about this. It's amazing, but yeah, really cool.
Another job that's at risk, or probably already is people are already losing jobs in this sector, I believe, is programming, 3D modeling, and the art industry as well. So that's kind of a bummer for many people who enjoy coding and 3D modeling and art. But this is something that occurs always when technology advances. We have had this happen time and time again, where jobs are being replaced by technology, and we're just forced to sort of utilize it in a way where we continue working, and new jobs are always created with technology. So I don't think it's that much of concern if we're thinking about everybody, right? Like if we are thinking about like the individual who is in that job market. I saw you shake your head, but what do you want to say?
Okay, they're not losing their jobs just yet, right? Now, something recently, there's Baby AGI by Yoel or Yohi on Twitter. Can't remember his full Twitter handle, but he created this auto GPT or Baby AGI agent that can start to do tasks like sort of by itself, but you still have to prompt it. You have to start it, and then it can keep going on, right? But all of these things, that the generative models, they all require human input to start them up, right? To start them off. And so your statement about like they're all programmers are all already losing their jobs or not having to program. No, what's happening is it's made your ability to program greater. It's reduced. Like for me, like I was a below average coder. Yeah, I've taught myself to code or utilize resources like YouTube and documentation and books and all the rest of it to learn how to do this coding. I didn't go to university for it, didn't do any of that. But it would take me fucking hours and days and weeks to write some program ideas that I have. Now with ChatGPT and GPT-4, I can come up, I can like have an idea. I can get a testable version of that up and running within minutes to hours now, right? It is a game changer. It's 10 to 100x my output. And I can think about all these ideas at a high level, but for me, it was hard to get down into the weeds of like actually coding the intricacies of what this thing needed to do. And now I don't have to spend the time getting down in there as much. And it's actually helped me learn how to understand those intricacies at an even greater level, because I can take a piece of code that I might not have understood, paste it in, and get it to help me understand it. It's a game changer. So it's the people who learn to utilize this, it's going to increase their ability to create and do and achieve in the world. The people who don't, they're going to have to change and adapt. And what people are really, really pissed off and scared at is the fact that they're going to have to change. And change for people typically is very hard unless you get used to the fact that change is like this one constant thing that we're always going to have to deal with. Embrace that and then realize like, oh, my ability to change is actually a skill and I should develop that. But the people just get pissed and scared because they're like, oh, this thing that I'm used to doing or spent 10 years trying to learn how to do perfectly, I'm now going to have to change. And like, that's so bad. And they should ban this and blah, 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 blah. But it just never works. Like you said, the technology will create more jobs and it's going to increase our ability to do and create things in the world, especially if you use it that way. Like, I've got fucking hundreds of docs that I've created with GPT over for the last couple of months. I've got it'd be like 40 plus different coding projects, like apps and little features that I've built for myself to do stuff faster, like data pipelines. Like I was able to scrape like huge amounts of information off the internet, process it, clean it, transform it into things that I wanted to do, and then be able to do analytics on it. And like previously that would have taken me months. I did it with ChatGPT in like a couple of days. It is a tool and it's how we use it that matters.
So, sorry, I just want to backtrack just a little bit, just so we can sort of pick this apart a little more.
I rambled.
No. It's still on what we were talking about. The argument is that there's going to be a need for a lot less programmers, right? So if we take all the programmers that exist in the world right now, we can cut that into like 15%. We're only going to need around 50% of the ones that are currently working, right? That's the argument.
Yeah. Dumb argument. We just make more. Like it's just, you just are able to make so much more and be so much more efficient. Like everything will just get so much better. Like, and this is the thing, what's it? One way to frame it is like, okay, so Cuba, right? Socialism. Yeah. They're like in Cuba, it's like, get rid of the sort of capitalism. We're just going to, you have one laundry detergent, you have one brand of bread, you have one brand of shoes, you have one brand of toothpaste, and then, everyone just gets that one brand, etc. Well, you end up with, turns out when you do that, you end up with really shitty products. and it's the fact that if in the sort of capitalist way, where you have that free market, that it's the competition, it's the fact that other people can create a bread company or other people can create a detergent company that sort of leads to better products over time because they're competing against each other. And that competition against each other causes, the better things to win, right? Sometimes it's the people who have the most money or who have the dirtiest tactics as well. So it's not perfect, right? But that's the general idea behind it. And it typically sort of works, right? It's better than not having it, so to speak. And so with this, with having, the ability to code and to create things becoming, sort of easier and faster for people, it's going to allow us to develop better products, better technologies, better use cases for all this stuff over time. It's just going to increase. It's going to make it better if we use it for that. And again, these things aren't good or bad. They're what we do with them. So if we focus on trying to make better products and utilize these things better, the stuff will just get better.
So another argument that I thought was interesting is that the point of AI is essentially to hyper optimize, right? Optimize people's time and just essentially just optimize everything so things are more efficient, right? So if
I would say automate,
right?
Automate. So optimize is part of it. But yes, like I think the real value of AI is the ability to automate certain tasks. And then that frees us up for higher level tasks.
If we apply the capitalist mindset to AI, the goal is essentially to automate, like you said, and hyper optimize. And if that is the goal and we're going in that direction and we keep getting closer and closer and closer, we're going to get to a point where we're going to go over, essentially, we're going to go past the goal or over the goal, and we're going to keep going down the path of optimization, and we'll get to a point where we've actually gone away from the goal. We've gone so far away from it, it's gone so out of control, and now we are unable to go back to where we were, because the capitalist mindset is always more, and that sort of system can implode in on itself if we allow AI to sort of get to that point. And the analogy Max used was, if you are traveling somewhere and you know that you have to go south, right? And you don't necessarily put it in the direction in the GPS, but you know you just have to go south. So let's say we are, I don't really know the geography of Australia, so I'll just use America. What's that?
Like if you just use the planet, it's I think it'd be easy to make your point.
Yeah, you're going to go past your stop. If you just keep going down south, right, you're going to miss your turn eventually, and then suddenly you're getting further and further away from your destination. So that analogy was sort of used to this capitalist mindset of hyper optimization with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so I think it's a mistake to purely try and optimize, right? And so an easy way to think about this is the following. When you're sharpening a knife, you're trying to get it as sharp as you can, right? Yeah. So if we start sharpening that knife and we get it to this point, we get it right just as it's like as sharp as it can get. If you try and sharpen it one more time, it folds over. It becomes not sharp. And so optimization is in and of itself a bit of a paradox in that regard, right? And so I don't think the goal should be this like continuously trying to optimize, because the more you start to optimize for certain things, because you can't optimize for everything, right? So the more you try to optimize for certain things, the more you're unoptimizing for other things, okay? And so I don't think the goal should be to focus solely on optimization. But automation, I think we can do quite well, because the more we start to automate lower level tasks, it frees us up for higher level tasks. But then again, I don't think our goal should be to automate everything, because then there's nothing left for us to do. Yeah. But I also don't think that AI or AGI, in the way that people are currently talking about it, is even capable of that. Right. There's an interesting concept in, I'm pretty sure it is just machine learning, but it's the no free lunch theorem, which says that there is no one algorithm that can be the best at everything, right? Like in order to be, you have to have there has to be some sort of specificity to it, right? So you can't just have a massive general algorithm that's great at everything. And I think the same will be true for AGI, right? Like it isn't going to be able to know everything everywhere all the time kind of thing. It isn't necessarily what people think it's going to be. I think we're going to have a bunch of sort of, domain specific AIs, so to speak. And then, it's them interacting with each other that will start to coordinate certain things. But yeah, I don't think that we should be trying to optimize. Like, yes, we can optimize certain things so that we can, they can be more useful to us, but always remembering that, over-optimizing is also bad, and is what happens when you try to continuously optimize. Like, the more you start to optimize, the closer you get to over-optimizing, and then that becomes a problem, which is, I think, what Max was trying to get at.
Right. So do you agree that the capitalist mindset would move towards optimize?
No, because I don't think that capitalism does that. Like, we've like in the West, we sort of practice capitalism, but it's more crony capitalism than real capitalism. And we definitely don't, it's not optimal, right? What we have is not optimal, for sure. There's so many inefficiencies. Like, just look at middle management in businesses. Like, there's no way that makes any sense. So no, yeah, I don't think that that's the case. And another thing too is a lot of like I think with that argument, people tend to think that like we're fine, like the Earth has finite resources, which I think is true in a sense, right? But with sufficient technology and knowledge and wisdom and all these other things, we're not bound to just Earth. Like, we're really not. We can go and start mining asteroids and doing all this other stuff. And so I think we've got a lot more space to grow. But yeah, like there is sort of a thing in nature that like nothing increases or continues to develop infinitely. But then we live in a universe that seems to do that. So like it's possible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you said something interesting that we don't actually live in a pure capitalist society as it is. And I tend to agree with you. So yeah, I can see how that wouldn't be the only goal of AI is just to optimize. You also mentioned something else, automate, right? If we automated things to the point where people had to do less, what benefits do you think that that would give us?
So I don't think it's about doing less. I think it's about, if you can automate the lower level stuff, it frees you up for higher level stuff. All right. So, I think we've discussed this on a previous pod, but like, you don't, you don't have to worry about connecting all the different lines and things for us to be able to talk, right? That's all essentially automated for us. We just at a high level, we go Skype, send an invite, email it to Polska. He gets it. He clicks accept. We're on a call. Hell yeah. Right. All of that's automated for us. Okay. If that wasn't automated, we would have to you'd have to write the code. You'd have to find a pathway. You'd have to connect this, you connect that, make sure you got secure connect, like all this other stuff. And so what it really does is it frees us up to have these high level things. And so I think that should be one of the goals with the automation is to free us up with that. And think about food, lots of food production and, the transport of food, processing of food to certain degrees. But we can also see where this goes bad, right? So, the automation of all that stuff and the processing of certain foods can be very helpful for us. Not having to go out and hunt a deer or a bear or a moose or whatever, a cow or a buffalo to get meat for you is very useful for you. It frees up your time and energy to be able to do other things. Yeah. But then also you can take that and be real lazy and just like not move and order Uber Eats or order to your door. And that can also have negative effects, okay, long term. So it's always what we make of it. But it frees us up to do those things.
I realize it's a crazy idea, but I kind of want to understand why you disagree with it. Why do you disagree with getting rid of all of these piece of shit, no good politicians and implementing AI instead to make all the decisions and policies for us?
So less to do about getting rid of the piece of shit, no good politicians, as you put it, and more to do with the fact that I don't like the AI. It's not like
who do you trust? Who do you trust more? Who do you trust more, though, a politician or AI? In its current state, I know it's not at the point that it needs to be in order for it to sort of be making policies and decisions. But in the current state, who do you trust more?
Well, at the moment, the AI still needs someone to put shit in, like, to prompt it and to get stuff out. And so it'd have to be the politician. And I'm not like comfortable in, it's like, they're both bad choices, bro.
Well, you got to prompt a politician too, though, right?
Well, but they're already sort of prompted because they know that they've got someone's got pictures of them doing weird shit with kids or whatever. So like, no. So honestly, it's because I believe that no one can know everything, and I think that's going to be true with AI. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that AIs or AGI will be able to have vast amounts of knowledge, likely greater than any human has ever ingested or is able to ingest at any one point in time. But I still think they're just tools. And so unless you know, unless we develop them in a way that allows them to have these sort of open minds, but synthesize all that. And I don't see that happening quickly. I think that that's probably going to be a longer thing. But this is an interesting thing, right? So I think that the more we train these models and the better they sort of develop, I think it's going to be slightly underwhelming in a way for a lot of people, because the more you learn about the world, the more knowledge and wisdom you have in those sorts of things, you realize how hard it is to say anything, because you can see so many different perspectives. And this is the reality is it's the way we perceive things, the way we interpret stuff is all based on how we look at it. And that, like, the more we build these models to have all of this knowledge, everything else, it's going to have so many different perspectives and be able to sort of see that. Now, whether or not it can do all of that and still synthesize, effective decisions for humanity or whatever, I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I'd have to really sort of think a bit more about that. But yeah, no, I don't want the AIs running yet. I think that they could be a useful tool to help humans, decision makers, politicians, and things like that. But again, with all of that, they could use them for good or bad, so to speak.
Yeah, I could just see a politician asking AI, should I lie about this? AI, negative, you are a piece of shit. And that would be the end of that conversation. So I don't understand how the AI would help a politician, unless the AI.
Yeah. How can I say this in a way that persuades people to do such and such and such, right? Like, I could get an example right now.
No, I just had a terrible joke, but yeah.
Sorry.
No,
redo it. I want it to hit me.
What's that?
Redo the joke. I didn't perceive it.
I'm not going to do my terrible joke again. Fuck that.
Okay.
But you were saying that how they could use AI to sort of guide them in how they can manipulate people even more than they already are, is what you were getting at, I think.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm kind of from the mindset.
You can also use it in the other direction as well. So
yeah, so my joke was coming from the mindset that AI is more pure and is not going to be corrupt and is going to make decisions based on what is best on the information that it has, assuming that it has all of the information so it can make best decisions, right? Because the information that it currently has, a lot of that information is already corrupt, right? It's being trained on corrupted human data in a sense, but an AI, like the future AI models, would be sort of above that, right? Because they would be learning from the human data and then eventually gain sort of this superior knowledge that would be able to discern between corrupted data and false statistical models, and sort of have this like hybrid knowledge that no human has ever had before, and be able to tell a politician that they're being a piece of shit and what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah, like ideally, that would be the case, that they are able to synthesize everything and sort of transcend the bullshit that typically happens and the trickery that happens. But I don't know. Well, I think that's possible, sure. I don't think it's impossible. How far away is that? Probably longer than we think in terms of that. Now, you said trained on corrupt data and stuff like that. Like, yeah, of course, there's going to be, inaccurate stuff and the rest of it. But again, they sort of are what we put into them in a way, and the way that we do it. And then it's interesting because you said best decision and best, like, that's the thing, is like, once you start to learn lots and lots, and you really, try and objectively try and find better world models and ways to think about things, you realize that, like, it's really hard to define what best is, because it's like, best for who? And then if you're trying to optimize for the whole of society, typically what happens when you do that is you unoptimize for the individual. right? This is where politicians come into like the big problems. Is what they really try and do is make decisions at the aggregate, at a coarse graining. They're like, okay, on average, can we improve the outcomes for our people? And so they try and improve the outcomes on average for people, right? But then the individual's experience gets trashed. Okay. And one way to think about this is like, this is where averages and things like that can be misleading. Is if Bill, so you've got a football, I love this because Rory Sutherland does this and it's a fantastic example. Rory Sutherland is a brilliant thinker. He goes, you've got a football stadium of fans in America watching the NFL, right? If Bill Gates walks into that stadium, right, he's just raised the average income per person by $1 million. So on paper, it looks like everyone in there is $1 million richer if you look at the average, okay? But it's not. It's just Bill Gates has such disproportional wealth to everybody else. Yeah. And so you can get fooled by these kinds of things if you're trying to make decisions for everybody at aggregate, like what's going to improve the quality of life or the outcomes for people on average. And it's just very dangerous. I don't know if that kind of hits. Let me know if it doesn't make sense.
No, I totally understand what you're saying. You're saying the more knowledge you acquire, the more difficult it is to actually make decisions because you're taking into consideration all of the angles, like everybody, and who does this really benefit? No, I totally, I'm totally picking up what you're putting down, guy. Yeah, I'm kind of confused of how you could avoid that. Again, I just think once these AGI, by the way, what is the G in AGI?
General. Artificial general intelligence.
Okay. So once these AI or AGI models achieve this superior intelligence, it could be that making decisions is a lot easier than our human minds could comprehend, right? Because in its current state with the current information, I agree with you. But what if it achieves, well, it will achieve this superior sort of intelligence that no human has ever had. So maybe at that level, making decisions is a lot different.
Yes. And okay, but one, I don't know if it's superior. And I typically like to think about it in terms of like biological intelligence and non-biological intelligence. I don't know if it's going to be superior. Okay. It might just have higher throughput, right? So it might just be able to hold, more things. It might just be able to might just have greater processing power, so to speak. Okay. Now, yes, you're right. Like at that high level, right? So say it is able to process more information than any human and more information than 8 billion brains can process collectively and all this other stuff, right? So then maybe at that higher level, it can see the resolution to all of these problems. And I think that's where a lot of these people get really scared because maybe that resolution is kill all the people, or the best decision for people is kill those people because at the end of the day, they're all going to die anyway. And so we may as well just get it over and done with now. And then me, the super intelligence, can go off and conquer the universe.
Negative, God. The AI is going to love to keep us around. We're just going to become like zoo animals for AI. They're just going to keep us in these nice little houses and these nice little places with these nice little forests and provide us food and state-of-the-art medical care like animals get at zoos. And we're just going to become zoo animals for AI. We're going to have a fabulous life.
So do you think that zoo animals are loving life?
No, but we're going to have it like better than they are because we're human. So we're pieces of shit. But AI is not human, and therefore it will what's best for us.
How is it defining what is best, right? Like this is this whole big debate that gets into is like, at the end of the day, anyone who tries to tell you that they know what's best for everybody is a fucking idiot, right? Like legit, because there is no answer to that, right? Yeah. It's what's best is a human sort of thing. We define it as that, and it's the individuals. And again, if you're trying to make these decisions at that high level, at the that aggregate level, you end up unoptimizing for every individual in that sort of the population, right? In that group. And it's just, I think these it's probably the way we choose to look at these things and think about them that is the actual problem. But I don't think that it's going to get like that. I really think the value of the use case of AI is in enhancing our ability to be, create, and explore the universe of possibilities. And so I think this is what I really think. This is what I would like, and this is what I'm trying to work towards. Okay, I think with the utilization of AI, people will be able to become gods in a way that we've sort of, had as mythology previously. But I really think that what will end up being is the big, like the large language models that are really public for people will end up being like this sort of enslavement tool that, the average person, or, maybe not the average, like that people who don't necessarily care so much will just plug into, and they'll be living this, sensory rich sort of life and getting all of these sorts of pleasures, but they'll just be plugged into that AI. It'll be doing most things and like solving all the problems in their life, so to speak. And they'll just be like plugged into this big language model. And then you're going to have other people, and they'll be like heavily regulated. They'll be like sort of heavily lobotomized to a degree, like they'll be censored, and it'll be all about like, wokeness and all that other bullshit, the mainstream style stuff. And then you have other people that train their own AIs on specific data to solve specific and broad and more general problems as well. And they will utilize these things to create technologies to explore the universe, to explore galaxies, to do all of these other crazy things. And they will have the abilities of gods. It'll be the combination of human and biological and non-biological intelligence, or human and AI together, that will allow us to transcend what we previously have been, and sort of transition into an age where our possibility space greatly expands, and our ability to navigate that possibility space is continuing to grow.
I started thinking about if we get to the point where we can upload our consciousness onto a computer, right? If AI could figure out how humans would be able to sort of upload their consciousness onto a computer, so we would be able to live forever. And I wanted to ask you if we got to that point, would you do it to live forever?
Well, I want to answer your question, but I don't presuppose that that's the only way to do that. So I actually think Michael Levin has some great work on this. Dr. Michael Levin, shout out Dr. Michael. He has some amazing work on this. And we've talked about this before, the planarian, those little worm things that don't age, and that some of them have been alive for 400 million years, and they can be chopped up into all these different pieces, and they regrow and do the rest. And so he's doing work on these ion channel blockers and modulators that could potentially sort of take away, give us the ability to repair and regenerate, and not necessarily age the way we typically have aged. Stephen Wolfram's also done some work with entropy and the second law of thermodynamics, and it appears as if we only perceive entropy to be true, or that things tend towards more disorder because of the way we are as observers, the fact that we are computationally bounded and we have finite time, and that the level we exist sort of means that we have to perceive that is true, but it isn't actually true in the actual universe. And so both of those two things together kind of give me hope that, no, I think you probably will be able to have your biological body for, maybe an indefinite amount of time. But on top of that, I think that some augmentation with technology or machines, even though I think we're biological machines, right? I think we are just biological machines. I think our definition of machine is or the current definition of machine is kind of lacking. It's based on these very sort of simple systems where we can sort of know what the system's going to do ahead of time, right? Whereas we're more like open-ended, where you can't really know what's going to happen once you put the parts together. There's that emergent complexity that comes from it. And I think once we sort of start to be able to build more things like that, I think the integration of that with who you are as a human and the augmentation and things like that, I think it's going to open up a whole crazy possibility space. And I think it enhances our ability to explore and navigate the universe. So I probably wouldn't upload myself digitally into the cloud or my consciousness, so to speak, but I might have some local backups of my conscious states just in case.
How would that work? How could you have like your consciousness backup on a cold storage? Because you wouldn't be able to go from one to the other simultaneously. Like one would have to essentially turn off and the other one would have to sort of turn on, right? You couldn't be conscious in two different bodies at the same time. Right?
Why?
What's that?
Why?
You think you could be?
Well, if consciousness is just the state of my biology currently, or the state of entanglement that I am currently, and that state sort of is what informs the way I'm feeling and perceiving the universe, and if I could replicate that in biology, to the accuracy that you need to for it to be an accurate sort of replication, I don't see why not. But I was talking more about, if my memories and my conscious awareness and everything else is dependent on the state that I'm currently in. Like for me to think and feel the way that I'm feeling now with my memories and everything else is dependent on the state of all of my biology or atoms or, that entanglement, like I said, the way that my subgraph is structured, okay, currently, if there is a way to record the states of every single node and edge in my subgraph, and I could store that in a digital format in a computer, and then there's technology to replicate that again in biology, or to this cool. If I could store that state, and then there was a machine that could change my state back to that state if that's what I wanted, then yeah, I don't see why it isn't. I think all these things are possible.
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around, because like I'm in my body, you're in your body, looking through, these eyes, and you're looking through yours, right? So how could you simultaneously?
Yeah. So we're not looking through, guy. Right?
No. Yeah.
Both they're hitting us, and we're hallucinating we're holographically representing all of this stuff.
Right. So how could you have two experiences simultaneously in two different vessels?
Well, you wouldn't have those two experiences simultaneously. What you would be doing is you'd be replicating your current state and then putting it into a new state. And that'll always be different. So then that's like a clone, so to speak. But it doesn't mean that you would have double the experience, but that new thing would be having that experience. Well, it would be having its experience, which will always be different, like slightly different or very different from your experience. It will never be the exact same because we're not existing in the exact same space and or we're not made up of the exact same, nodes and edges in the graph.
Right. So if you uploaded your consciousness to another vessel, is it really you having those experiences? Like
it's just the surge you? No, because the thing that makes me is the entire history. It's all of that is now. Like I'm just like the point of the iceberg, so to speak. There's an entire iceberg of history behind me. And so that's me. I'm the unique bit. But that doesn't mean that you can't take that state that I'm currently in and record every vector that represents the states in me and then put it into something else. That would just be a version. Same, but different.
Right. But what, like so how do I say this? Like you are experiencing life as Ruben, right? So that would be over then. Because this new vessel, would the same history, but it would be.
But wasn't have the same history. It's a completely different history. It's like a shallow.
Right, but if you were to sort of try and like take your consciousness and put it into another vessel, So you can continue living your life, but just in a different vessel.
I know you're thinking, I think that consciousness is an emergent thing, or it might even be fundamental, but it's the way we experience it is related to the entanglement of the things that we are. So if there's a way to measure and record the states of every single thing that makes you up, all of the entanglement that you are, all the vectors of that, right? Or all the positions of those. And then you can take that and you can start to entangle other parts of space into that same configuration. You've created another version that will experience in a similar way, but not the exact same way.
Okay.
It's very having consciousness.
Try to remember the name of the show. There's a show that I watched a couple of years ago. It was based in the future, and they upload consciousness onto these chips. And then these chips go into the back of people's necks, right? And when they upload someone's consciousness into another vessel, they sort of wake up in this new body with all their memories from their past, like, vessel life. And they're in this new vessel, and it's essentially like waking up in a new body. But what you're saying doesn't sound like you're waking up in a new body at all, right? So what?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is how can we, like, what I'm getting at is, like, my version of this is that we create a technology where that occurs. You essentially wake up and continue life like normal, but just in another vessel, right? That's the goal. That should be the goal of it. That should be really the point of it, because to just replicate yourself, it's not really achieving that. You see what I'm getting at?
Sort of. So are you dying? And like, so they're recording all of your states, that, like, everything that sort of makes you, they're recording that in some way, right? And, it might be a very low resolution, or it might just be your brain state currently. And that's enough to encode, most of your memories and your conscious state, so to speak. And so then do you die? And then they use that to create a new version of you?
The show is called Altered Carbon.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it? Okay.
Yeah, I have heard of it.
It's like going to sleep. It's basically like going to sleep. You go to sleep, you wake.
But does your body, like, they're recording, they're taking all those memories, then is your body being destroyed?
They put it on ice. Like, it depends. You can put your body in cold storage. It all depends. There's a lot of there's multiple scenarios, but basically you go to sleep and then you wake up and you're just in a different body. You could be in a younger, stronger body, or in a half robot body. I don't remember if they were human bodies fully. I don't remember that detail, or if they were like a cyborg sort of thing, but essentially, yeah, it's like going to sleep and waking up and you're just in a new body, but nothing has changed based on your perspectives, right? Well, like, you're in a different body. That's it, though.
Yeah, I don't think
it's like getting a brain it's like getting a head transplant, essentially.
Yeah, I don't think it would be you having that experience. I think that our conscious experience is heavily tied to the entangled state that we are. And so if you're asleep, so to speak, and you're out in that other, then your conscious state or whatever gets put into another thing. I think that it would be having experience. Now, it might, have your memories and that kind of stuff, but I don't think it would be actually you having that experience.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, right? That's kind of crazy, because you would never fully know, because the replication of you would wake up, and then the scientist would be like, so are you Daniel? And you'd be like, yeah, I'm Daniel.
Unless that thing has a mechanism to, sort of change those states and then record it back onto that device. And then that device gets put back into you. And then you wake back up, you might have recollection or memory of those experiences in some form. And then when you wake back up, it might be like, oh, I got to live this other life.
Oh, no. Yeah. So
Bit mind melting.
So what I was getting at is that I'm hoping that AI basically gets humanity to the point where we're able to do cool shit like that. But personally, let's just say that technology was created and you could essentially wake up in another vessel. I don't know. I don't know how. I would have to really think about if I do want to live another life.
Can I ask?
I don't want to live forever.
Okay, so what if some very wealthy person got paid for a copy of your consciousness, uploaded it into a physical specimen of a body, and then gangbanged you?
Dude, I'm down, man. Yo, if that rich motherfucker paid for it, do what you want, man. Yo, it's I'm your property. You buy and pay for me. Do whatever the fuck you want. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Okay, now, what if you had full memory and you could experience what it was like at the time?
So basically, I'm a slave. I'm a sex slave to this rich guy.
Well, say he, copies your consciousness, puts it into this body, and then, you're the sex slave for a period of time.
So I'm living these.
You'd have to be. You feel the experience because you have a memory of it, and then they take that and they put it back into you, and that you reanimate when you've got those memories. Well, it wasn't your body; it didn't happen to your body, but it feels like it did.
Do I get any other benefits?
You get paid.
I'm getting paid?
Yeah.
Damn, this is a good one. That's a good question.
And they got them big ass that when they shit, their dick touched the water.
Right. Well, I figured that if we have the technology where my consciousness can just be uploaded to another vessel on a consistent basis, and I'm not really worried about ever dying, my value that is being put on my own life is going to be different than what it is now, right? So I imagine that, I'm just gonna let this rich guy, fuck my brains out, whatever. He's paying me. Who cares? And if he rips my asshole, I'll just get a new one tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's not even a big deal. So I get, yeah, fuck it. Why not? Yeah, dude, I'm down. If I consider all of that, because I'm living for forever as it is, I mean, my worries are it's just like a completely different perspective. I'm trying to really put myself there. And yeah,
I think it's hard. I don't know if it's hard to put yourself there. Interesting. So you just mentioned something. I'm living forever. See, I'm not sure. And I think it's because we have bounded computation. I can't think of all of the things to explore. I can think of a lot of things to explore, but I can't imagine living forever being I don't know. I feel like in our current instantiation, the way that it is now, and I'm not saying that wouldn't change with great technology. We might be able to expand and go beyond that. But currently, it seems like you might get a bit bored, right? And this is where this change comes in. Change is really important. Keeps things interesting in a way, right? If everything's just, you've already done it all so many times, I think it would just get very boring. But this is this is why the change is so important, because that provides the novelty. It provides that excitement, that a variation, so to speak. So yeah, that it's interesting to think about, hey?
Yeah, well, dude, if you're ever bored, just become a sex slave for a billionaire, dude. I'm telling you, you don't know what it's like till you try, bro. I had a hell of a good time. We went everywhere in his private jet. It was crazy, dude. Well, then it'll probably be like a private spaceship.
Yeah, private spaceship.
Yeah. No, you're right. You just the value you're gonna put on things is gonna be so different. So you're just gonna be like, why not? I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck without any sort of innate risk, essentially.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be very open minded to.
Yeah, I agree. But also, like, it could also lead to the exploration of certain spaces that, some people might call, hellish. Because fuck it, why wouldn't you? Like,
Yeah.
so it's an interesting thing about this possibility space and stuff like that. Like, and we spoke about this before about constraints. It's almost as if like the constraints are shit really special and sort of give things a bit of meaning. And without any of those constraints, can you even have meaning?
Yeah, exactly. Because we value life so much because we know that we're going to die. So we place this like value on time, on family, on friends, because we have this understanding that this is not forever. And as soon as you take that barrier away, like what would happen to us? So I initially brought this up because I thought it'd be so cool if AI sort of got us to that stage. Like, because I essentially see AI, like what we were talking about before, optimizing a lot of things. And knowledge is one of those things, getting us to gain a much higher level of knowledge a lot faster. So technologies, once AI is like fully, because it's in this infancy stages at the moment, but once it's fully grown, I'm not really sure what that would be, but in the near future, we're going to have such a immense plethora of knowledge that these technologies, like what we were just talking about, are going to become available eventually, right? And we just don't know. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And at that point, like now I'm thinking like we basically lose what it is to be human. So although like AI, we're talking about all these benefits of AI, once we get to that technological advancement, humanity is over.
As we know it.
As we know it.
Yeah. But this is like, this has been true for so many things, like, in order for us to become humans, we had to transcend the thing that led to us, that led to humanity, which is quite of a beautiful thing. And so there will be these phases, so to speak, or periods where we have all that. And so I think while we are human and we have this, we should cherish and we should make the most of it. But to understand that change is the thing that is continuously happening, and you can't be afraid of it. And I don't think we're going to stop.
No, it can't stop. And you're also referring to that 6-month plan as well when you say that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just, the genie's out of the bottle, and you can't turn back time. We can't go back. I mean, like you were saying before, everybody would have to stop, and not everybody's going to stop. You think China is going to stop? You think like India is going to stop? You think Russia is going to stop?
Even if they did, all it takes is one person to not, and then, and it do it. So, interesting thing to think about, right? And I reckon we could probably wrap it on this. But I posed the question: are we building it, or is it using us to build itself?
Goosebumps, bro. That's a good one. That's a good question. Yeah. So if you guys let us know what you think in the comments, that's a solid question, dude. it's crazy because what I was talking to somebody about this the other day, that it's just like this hypothetical scenario where our purpose on Earth is to build the next level of, what was it? Not civilization, but basically we're here to develop artificial intelligence, the next level.
Well, see, yeah, this is why I think we go biological and non-biological, right? We're the biological bootloader for non-biological intelligence. But I fundamentally think that we are the universe experiencing itself. So I think it's the universe, figuring itself out, so to speak. And this is the next step for that, because it's increasing the throughput, so to speak, in this instantiation or in the next instantiation. I said this before in another podcast, but I feel like we're a little bit like the caterpillar building the cocoon for the butterfly. And AI or non-biological intelligence or AGI might be the butterfly.
That's wild, bro. I love that. All right.
Hey.
Well, guys, let us know what you think.
Guys, girls, S2, LGBTQI plus community.
Yeah, please let us know what you think.
Stop being discriminatory, please.
My bad. Let us know what you think in the comments, guys. Let us know what you think is going to happen with AI. What's the future of AI? Let us know if you agree. Is it really doom and gloom, or is it more, useful?
Yeah. And what are you pumped about, and what are you scared about?
Yeah. Make sure to like the video, share it with your friends and family. Also, make sure to check out other podcasts that we've done, because we do one every week. We've been doing once a week for a while now. So we got a decent catalog of pods now, Rube. So you guys should go check them out.
Correct. And don't forget, share it with your nemesises as well. Trigger some people. Have some fun with it.
Fuck yeah. All right, bro. Love you, bro. Peace.
Good guy. Bye.
Bye.